Welcome to episode 57 of the Arctic Crafts podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook and Etsy as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. I also have a group on Ravelry for this podcast where you can enter make-alongs, sometimes giveaways, and I also have a Ko-fi page where you can support the podcast with the equivalent of a cup of coffee, and the money goes towards postage for shipping out prices. And hopefully one day I can get a new camera, because this camera really annoys me. The colors aren't vibrant enough, but this sweater, I'm going to talk more about that a bit later, is lime green. It doesn't show as lime green on camera. So let's see, any more admin? I can give you a quick update on live stuff first. I got my second shot of the Pfizer vaccine last night. So hubby gets his second shot in July. And then we're fully vaccinated, the both of us. And speaking of hubby, he was supposed to record with me today, so you missed out on meeting him. He got called out last minute this morning to a meeting, so he's going to be away all day, so I'm doing this solo. But that's what I usually do, so not a big problem. But he wants to record with me next time. And my next podcast won't be on a Friday, by the way, because Friday in 2 weeks my youngest son already has arrived, so I'm going to record and upload the next episode 58 a few days early. But hubby is going to record it with me, hopefully, fingers crossed. And he wanted me to ask you if you have any questions for him, post them in the comment section below, and that goes for questions for me as well. I'm thinking about making a thread in Ravelry, an Ask Me Anything thread, because I see a few other podcasters have such threads and they pick a question to answer in every podcast. So I'm thinking maybe I should do that, because I have a few new subscribers that haven't been watching this podcast from the beginning. So maybe you have questions for me that I already talked about in earlier episodes. So I think I'm going to make it Ask Me Anything thread. Of course, if I think a question is too personal, I'm not going to answer it. Still on my first cup of coffee for the day. I have to stay caffeinated, at least until I'm finished with the podcast. I haven't gone for my morning walk either today, because again, that was something me and hubby were supposed to do after we recorded the podcast. While we were waiting for it to upload, we were supposed to go for a walk. And he probably won't be up to going for a long walk when he gets back this evening, because he's going to be in a meeting all day. So I think I'm going to go for a walk alone while I'm waiting for this podcast to upload. So that's about hubby and the possibility of him being on the podcast. We were talking about him coming on we were doing the Fiber Friends tag. It's a challenge where podcasters bring their husbands or partners on the podcast and ask them a series of fiber-related questions to see how much they actually know about knitting and fibers and crochet and yarn and stuff like that. And we were going to do that, but then hubby said, why can't I just join you for an entire podcast? And I love the idea. So I was really looking forward to recording with him today, but it will have to wait. And I want to talk a bit about the make-alongs. I have the year-long Arctic Crafts make-along, where you can enter with anything or everything you have made with my yarn. Knit, crochet, any craft, as long as it's my yarn or some of my yarn. You don't have to use my yarn for the entire project. And I'm drawing the end of June for that one, and the price for that one is, as always, a skein of your choice of my yarn. And I also have another big make-along going, and it started on June 1st and finishes on August 31st. There you go, I can't say August, probably. And it ends on at the end of August, and it's called the Arctic Summer of Socks. And this is going to be a yearly tradition. This is the first year I'm doing it, but I'm going to keep on doing this every summer because I love knitting socks, and my favorite project to knit on in summer is socks because they are portable. It's a small project and it's not too warm to sit with in your lap, because knitting a wool sweater in the heat of summer, not tempting. So socks for me is the perfect summer project. So Arctic Summer of Socks was going to happen. And the first drawing is at the end of June. I'll have another drawing at the end of July, and then a grand prize drawing at the end of August. There will be two prizes in June, 2 prizes in July, and 3 prizes in August. And whenever you enter, you're going to be in all 3 drawings, because I draw from the entire thread every time. And now let me show you the prizes for June. I have the prizes ready for the entire thing, but I thought I would show you the prizes the last podcast before I draw. So these are the prizes for June. The first prize is a sock set from You Felty Thing, and because I'm me, I of course have to give away a sock set in pinks and purples. So You Felty Thing is one of the prizes, and the other prize is this fun sock bag with sheep on it and a fun yellow chevron fabric on the inside. And this is made and donated by Crafting 87 of the Distant Stitches podcast. So that's the 2 prizes for June. And as I said, I will be drawing at the end of the month. And that's enough about that, and enough about admin, and let's start talking knitting. I told you I was going to talk more about the sweater, apart from it being lime green, and it doesn't show as lime green on camera. This is one of my finished objects. It's a Magpie tendency. Excuse me. It's a Magpie tendency by Skeinanigans. And this is knit in Sandnes Duo, and that's a wool cotton blend. And because I knit it at a tight gauge, I don't have to wear anything underneath. You can sort of see what I have underneath, but I don't need to wear a tank top or anything under it. And for me, in summer, layers is not a thing. So the other Magpie tendency that I showed you the last time with the V-neck, that's knit in wool, that's probably going to end up being a layering piece for winter, because it's going to look really good on top of a shirt as a vest. But it's already a bit too hot for me to wear it outside. I'm going to a festival the 2nd weekend of July to vent my yarn, and I was thinking about wearing something knit with my yarn to that festival, but I'm not sure if I can manage, depending on the weather. If it's overcast like this, it's not too warm here, this far north. If you don't have sun in summer, it's about 14, 15, thereabouts. So I might be able to wear a knitted sweater, but I'm going to bring backups, because if it gets too warm I'll just have to slip into a restroom somewhere and change. So it's going to be a family event, this festival, because my youngest son is here then. So me, hubby and my youngest son are going to go together. So I'll have 2 assistants for the festival. So that's the Magpie tendency. I also have 2 more finished objects, and they're both pairs of socks. And both are socks that I have had on the needles for far too long, especially this pair. This is the Stephanie socks by rhyFlower Knits, part of her A Night at the Movies sock club that is running all of 2021. And these are knit in hot socks, Grindel hot socks. And the colorway is only a number, and I haven't got a ball band, but of course they're pink. So the Stephanie socks by rhyFlower Knits. Sorry, I have 3 more finished objects. I don't only have the socks. That's what I'm saying, I'm having one of those days. These are a pair of vanilla socks that I've knit with Nicole C. Mendes. The heels and toes are with a nondescript sock yarn that I had in my stash. It's a bit thicker than the Nicole C. Mendes yarn, but because it's heels and toes, it's kind of a benefit. And this isn't a pattern, or it's a pattern, but it's not a pattern I paid for. It's something I sometimes do when I knit self-striping, and it's real easy. I'm going to tell you how you do it in case you want to try it. Whenever the color change happens, you start knitting 3, slipping 1. No matter where we are on the round, you just, as soon as the color change happens, knit 3, slip 1. And the next round you knit everything, you knit all stitches, and then you repeat on the next color change. I move them 2 over so that you have them, as you can see there, I move them so that one is in the center of those 2. So that's how I do it, to get a bit more balance in it. And I like this because I knit a lot of self-striping, and this is a way of varying it. And I think it looks really good. And then for my last finished object that I almost forgot, and I've knit the shift before, but I've knit the shift again. And I really like the way this turned out. I talked about this the last time. I bought some yarn from Gjesdal called Cool Cookie, and I wanted to knit this in that yarn because it's the same kind of yarn as Spin Cycle, but it's really budget friendly. And the ladies at Knits and Pieces were talking about if you knit this with only 2 different colorways, when you start a new section, switch them over. So let's say this dark, that's the one that's dark navy down here, that was color A, and the one in the pearl bumps were color B. When I started the next section, I changed them the other way so that the dark color became color B and the other color became color A. And I kept doing that for the entire cowl. I changed, so you can see there to there, you see the same 2 colors, they only switched places. And that was a really good idea. So thank you to Kelly and Noel of Knits and Pieces for that idea. And another thing, I have a lot of yarn left. This is what I have left after knitting the shift cowl. So I have enough left for a pair of socks, and I think I'm just going to knit a pair of stripy socks with this. And because I have almost exactly the same amount left of both. I think I'm going to stripe them. This it's sort of fraternal socks. I'm going to start with the dark one on one and have dark cuff, heels and toes on one of the socks and do the other way around on the other sock. So that's what I'm going to do with the leftovers. And if I have anything left over after that, it's going on in one of my scrappy projects. So that were my FOs. And as you may understand from me finishing off a few things, I haven't got a lot of whips, at least not active whips. If you know me, you know I have loads of whips, but I'm not working on any more than 2 or 3 at a time. So, and I try to alternate it a bit, so I can put away something and pick up something else. And when I get tired of that, I go pick up the other one again. So it will vary what my active whips are. But I've had castanitis lately, so I keep casting on new things. And that means my sort of active whips turn into hibernating whips. Let's just hope not any of them end up as UFOs. That would be too bad. But a couple of them, I can't call a couple of them UFOs, I think, because I haven't touched them for months. My excuse is that we're talking woolly, long-sleeved sweaters, and it's not the season for those. So I keep telling myself I'm going to pick them up again in the fall. Let's see, I'll probably cast on something else in the fall. But that was my... So we'll talk whips. I only have 2 active whips. And we'll talk about this one first. And this one is in a bag from Jibaru Sus. And this she made, it's custom made for me. I chose the fabric. I really love this because it looks like a basket. You can fold it down and it sits on the table. And on the outside there are loads of pockets. So all of this on the outside, that's pockets. So I really love this. So it's perfect for a sock project or a one skein shawl. And I have my sock project in here, and this was a really, really special skein of yarn because I can't afford buying yarn from Canada or the US anymore because of the new customs rules and VAT restrictions in Norway, because that practically doubled the price for me if I'm buying yarn from the US and Canada. So this is something I bought before that happened, and I bought it on sale. So the jawbreaker is made by me. I always wind up self-striping this way, by hand and looking like this. And this is from the Cozy Knitter, and it's her Bliss base, and the colorway is Hygge. And that being a Norwegian word, and I think Hygge, it's known as a Danish word as well, but it means the same thing. You don't have a word for hygge in English. It just means, we're talking about hyggelig. If you're having hyggelig, you're probably with friends or family and you're feeling content, happy, enjoying a good nice meal perhaps, but you don't have a word for it in English. But anyway, this was a sock set. So the mini was included, and this is how far I've gotten on this sock. Because I was thinking this is was a really, really special skein of yarn. I've been hoarding it for years. But then again, I was thinking, if I can't cast this on for the Arctic summer of socks, when was I supposed to cast it on? I was thinking about using it for a cowl, because I wanted to knit a cowl that runs this way with self-striping, but there's only 4 rows of each color in this, so the stripes are too narrow. So if I want to knit a cowl, I think you call them infinity cowls, if you do a provisional cast on and then knit for either once around your neck or twice around your neck and then graft it together. And this self-striping, the stripes are too narrow, so I either have to look online for a self-striping with longer color repeats. I don't think I have any self-striping in my stash that will do that, but this is going to be a really beautiful pair of socks. And trust me, these are from me. And the progress keeper on these is a gift from my friend Sue in Canada, because I love everything Canadian. I want anything Canadian, and this is a bowl of poutine. I think you pronounce it like that, poutine. So that's a gift from Sue. So that's on those. I thought it matched the colors. I'm a bit strange like that. I use progress keepers that match my project. So that's one of my active whips. This is my portable knitting. So this is the bag I grab if I'm going out of the house and I'm thinking I might want my knitting because I might have time to do a few rows, and this is what I grab on my way out. And car knitting. This is perfect car knitting, or if I'm watching something on TV where I have to focus, because my other whip is more of a project you have to focus on, or at least it has been, but I have gotten to a point where I can knit without concentrating all that much. Until now I've had to look at the pattern all the time. And this is in my newest bag from the Tangled Stitch, Kelly. And when she put out put out a teaser on Instagram with these and told us they were going to be part of the update, I jumped on it. And although it's from Canada, and because of that it's expensive for me to buy it in Canada, I did it anyway, because I just had to have this. And the project, I have to check my show notes for this, because this is a really new project. I cast it on 2 days ago, and it's the Lydia 2.0 by Courtney Little. And I said to hubby last night, I have to remember finishing this row before I show this on the podcast, because I'm in the middle of a row. But do you think I remembered? Nope. But because I'm having the kind of day I'm having, I'm happy I remembered to show up for my own podcast. So this is it. This is the lace at the bottom. I'm going to put up a picture so you see what it looks like finished. And I'm finished with the lace at the bottom, so from now on it's just the rib, the rest of the body. And you had the option of either knitting it flat and seaming it, or knitting it in the round. I'm knitting it flat and seaming it at the end, and the reason why I'm doing that is because this is a 90% cotton, 10% merino blend, and I'm thinking it won't have a lot of structure. So if I knit it in the round, I'm afraid it would twist, because that has happened to me before. If I knit something in the round and it twists around your body when you wear it. So if I seam this, it will be more structured. So that's why I'm doing it this way. And the yarn is a Viking Björk. And the composition of this yarn has changed. I think now it's cotton bamboo, and this is bought years ago, and the colorway is 529, and I saw that on Ravelry that they call this color turquoise. I'm kind of not agreeing with that. This is teal, not turquoise. And I'm actually knitting myself a tank top. It's not a tee, it's a tank top. And I love the pattern at the bottom, and the model in the main picture on Ravelry is really skinny, and the tank top is really cropped. And I was thinking, too bad, because I really like that. But then I decided to scroll through the pictures, and there were several bigger ladies wearing the same tank top, and it looked gorgeous. So that's one of the real beauties of going on Ravelry to look at patterns, because when people put pictures of themselves in the garments on Ravelry, you can see what it would look like on yourself, because no matter what your body type is, what your shape is, you're going to find a picture of somebody with a body that looks kind of like yours in the project photos. And especially one picture showed, I thought that's how it's going to look like on me. So, and all they had done, they had just knitted a little bit longer. And it looked like one of the ladies had, the straps were a bit broader on hers. So I'm going to, hopefully on her project page, she has put in some notes how she did that, but I don't think it's too difficult. I'll just stop decreasing for the neck a bit earlier, or the same goes for the outside maybe, so the straps are broader out there, so the armholes are a bit smaller. So really looking forward to getting that done, and because it's 90% cotton, it hopefully won't be too hot to wear. And I'm being brave, and I'm knitting it with just an inch of positive ease. It might end up being spot on, but I think that kind of garment that needs to be fitted. And because it's knit in rib, it's going to stretch. So I can also wear that in winter, but that not as a vest on top of other things, but in a cardigan, you have a cardigan over it, so that just sticks out. We'll see. But I'm going to knit it a bit longer. I'm not going to knit it cropped. I think I'm going to knit it so it sort of goes probably an inch below my waistline, so I can wear it on top of trousers, high-waisted trousers. And speaking of, I suddenly realized the elephant in the room. My hair is really, really short, and this is what I wanted. And I told my hairdresser, you can just use a clipper, because I want it short. And I told her how many millimeters I wanted, and she said, that's really short. And I said, yep, that's what I want. Benefit, I paid for a man's appointment. Don't ask me why, but that's almost half the price of a woman's haircut. But again, this was really quick. She just bust my entire head. I think it's a couple of millimeters longer on top. But this is going to grow in again real fast. So I've already booked an appointment for later this summer, because we're going to Tromsø with my youngest, and I want this to be like this when I go on holiday. It's the only way. This summer we're having what you call a staycation, because we're not going anywhere. We are only going to Tromsø for 3 days. But we live in one of the most beautiful parts of Norway, so we can go on day trips. If the weather is nice, we can go on day trips to Lofoten or to some really beautiful spots here in Vesterålen. So not a big deal. I moved here in 2011, but I still am in awe sometimes of how beautiful it is. So I'm not spoiled yet. Instead of holding this the entire time, maybe I should drink from it as well. This podcast is a bit all over the place. I think that's because it's been a busy couple of weeks, but at the same time I feel like I haven't gotten anything done. So it's been hectic. But I feel like my husband, he started his vacation today by being summoned to a meeting that's going to last the entire day. He's on the city council, by the way. He's not a fixed member, but he has to go if some of the regular council members get sick or have to go away or something. So that came on kind of sudden this morning, so he just had to up and leave. So, but I think this is the last council meeting before the summer holidays. So there's be going. I think the next meeting is the beginning of September. So when he comes home tonight, he'll be on vacation. Teachers have a long vacation. They have 7 weeks. The students have 8 weeks, but the teachers start a week early to plan for the first semester. It might sound like a long vacation, but teachers don't have a 9-to-5 job the rest of the year. So it's sort of overtime. So they get an extra long vacation. And I'm married to a teacher, so I know everything about how much work they have to do outside of their office hours the rest of the year. And the roses behind me, I wish I could say they were mine, but they were a gift from hubby's graduating class as a thank you for a good school year. So and as I said, next time you will be meeting hubby, unless something happens. So he's and if it's a success, he might come back. So we'll see. He insists he's no good at improv, but he has a lovely sense of humor and he's good with snide remarks. So I think he will be a nice addition. So hopefully he's going to become a sidekick from time to time. And when he's been on the podcast, I feel more relaxed about including him in my vlogs because he's already been on the podcast. That might sound strange, but that's my thinking. He's already been on the podcast, so maybe he wants to say something to the camera while I'm doing a vlog as well. I'm not doing any, I think I'm not going to do any vlogging this summer, like the Arctic summer vlogs I did last year. I think I'm not going to do any of that this summer. I might put in some extra footage in my regular podcasts, but I'm going to try to do a regular podcast every other Friday throughout the summer. And if I'm doing that while Erlend is here, my youngest son, I might just do it as vlogs and not a normal podcast, if you know what I mean. I might also do short snippets on Instagram TV throughout the summer. We'll see. Because we're having a staycation this year, not going anywhere, it's not going to be all that exciting to vlog because there won't be a lot happening that would be interesting for you to watch. But if something special is happening, I'll try to remember to record. so you get to see some snippets at least. And if you're going on a day trip somewhere where you haven't been, saying it like you actually come with me, but last year, for example, we drove to the outer point of Lofoten and back, and I recorded that. And if you want to see that, it's on my playlist on YouTube. You have the Arctic summer vlogs, and one of those episodes I filmed the day we went all the way out to the westernmost point of Lofoten and back. So that's what I have for whips and digressions. I'm sort of going on tangents all the time today, not intending to do that. But there's only one thing left, and that's show and tell. And I've actually gotten some yarn in the mail this time, because hopefully you also have heard of the Rusty Ferret, because I've admired her yarn online, but I never got around to buying any of it. And then I suddenly noticed that she had started a podcast. And I urge you to check that podcast out, because she's a natural in front of the camera. She's hilarious. And she's based in Scotland. And as I said, I've been eyeing her yarn for a long time. And after watching her podcast, I decided I need to support her. So I bought a skein of her yarn. And when you know me, you know why I bought this skein of yarn. I do love a fun skein of sock yarn. And this probably won't be used for anything but socks, because it's really busy and variegated and a perfect skein for a pair of socks. So this won't work as a stripe in a So Faded or in a one skein shawl, unless I want to knit a garter stitch one skein shawl, but I can assure you I don't want to do that, because that's boring. So this is going to be socks. And I think I'm going to knit a pair of socks for myself in these, or I might knit a pair of socks for my niece, because she also loves these colors. But maybe I should, because I have a lot of socks. I have very many pairs of hand knit socks that's never been worn. And one thing I've started doing is that when I send out donations to podcasters, price donations, I add a pair of hand knit socks for the podcaster. And because I think it's a nice gesture, because even though we are knitters, there's nothing like getting a pair of hand knit socks knit by somebody else. So that's also a way for me to get rid of some pairs of socks. So there's a bit of guesswork involved when it comes to shoe sizes and stuff, but hopefully most of them are the average. You have the average shoe size for a woman. That was another tangent. I'm all over the place today. This colorway, the name is Kids Rainbow in it on her doll base. And it's so much fun. So this might not even make it to my stash. This might be my next cast on, because I'm thinking shorties, because I need more pairs of shorties, because I wear wool socks all year round, but in summer I wear shorties, and I haven't got a lot of shorties because I knit 2 pairs of shorties last summer, and I've used them during the winter as well, and one I've used while I was dyeing, so it's purple on the sole. No matter, I can wear the socks even though they have a purple sole, but because of that I now only wear them when I'm dyeing. In summer I either go barefoot in the house, or I wear shorties, wool shorties. And the other pair of shorties I've worn through. I could darn them, but with my yarn stash I could just knit a new pair. So this might become shorties. But I'm also going to go through my leftovers, because I have loads of leftovers. Among other things, I have leftovers from the Magpie tendency with the V-neck that I knit in 2 different colors. Let me see, I can fetch. I think I have the leftovers in this bag. Yes. And this is what I have left after I finish the Magpie tendency. So both of these are enough for a pair of shorties. But I think I'm going to knit up this first. Both because those are more, this is more like a sweater color, if you know what I mean. This is more sock, because this has some hot pink and turquoise and purple in it, and it's also got cashmere in it, so it's really soft. So I think I'm going to divide this into 2 balls, or weigh this, because I think 40 grams is what I need for a pair of shorties. But when I knit shorties, I mean shorties. What I do, normally I knit my socks on 2.25 needles, and when I'm knitting shorties, I knit 10 rounds of ribbing on a 2mm needle, and then I go straight into the heel. And I always knit heel flapping gusset heels on shorties, because it's more stable, so it sits better over the heel, so they won't slip down. And the reason why I knit the ribbing in a smaller needle is because it tightens it, so it sits better around the ankle. So when I knit shorties, I knit the ribbing and then straight into the heel, so they just hit your ankle, and that's my preferred length for a shorty. But when I knit other socks, where did I put the finished objects? These are long for me. Normally I only knit them about this long, and that's normal socks, because I hate having socks that run up my calf. So that's another tangent. I was doing show and tell, and I showed you I started to talk about shorties because I showed you this yarn and that I wanted to knit shorties with this. I'm going to look, maybe I'll knit a cowl or something, because I think this looks good around my neck, but it has to be a boring knit, because this yarn, I can't knit this yarn with a pattern, because the pattern would disappear totally. So this needs to shine. I know from experience that yarn that's this variegated looks good in garter, because it breaks it up a bit. So maybe a shawl, we'll see. But that was what's come in. I've gotten some stationery supplies for my planner, but that's not that exciting. And this is if you want to see stationery supplies that come in the mail, just let me know in the comment section below. If there are more stationery geeks out there, just let me know and I'll show you that the next time. What I'm using for my planner, what kind of markers I use, what kind of pen I use, what my pencil case looks like. If you're interested in any of that stuff, let me know in the comment section, and I'll do a quick show and tell about stationery next time. So what remains now is the shameless self-promotion bit, and I'll start with one particular colorway, and it's this one. This didn't have a name. I couldn't think of a name for this. I love this color, and if I were boring. I would call it rose gold. Maybe dusty pink. That's not imaginative. And if anybody suggested dusty pink in my competition on Instagram, I'm really sorry. I had a competition on Instagram that ran for 24 hours. Name this yarn. And the winning suggestion, that person would get a coupon code from my shop. And I had loads of gorgeous suggestions. Son of a Peach from Sue in Canada. But it's not kind of peachy. But of course, Son of a Peach doesn't have to look like a peach. Maybe. Free the Freckle. That was Fröken Petrina, I think. That suggested Free the Freckle. I really love that. Freckled Peach was also one. But the winning suggestion and the colorway name is Stracciatella. And you might wonder why. Because that's a type of Italian gelato, right? Ice cream, Stracciatella. That was my first thought as well, because I love Italian gelato, so I knew the meaning of the word Stracciatella. But then she wrote petal Stracciatella. And I thought, I googled it, I put up the picture here, and this is what showed up. Turns out there's a lily variety called Stracciatella, and the petals look like this, including the speckles. So, and it has a double meaning. Stracciatella, ice cream, also have speckles. So, this colorway's name is Stracciatella, and the Instagram name of the winner is Nut Knits Crafts, and she's already been notified on Instagram. And this was so much fun, so the next time I make a new colorway and I can't think of a name, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do an Instagram competition, because this was so much fun and people had so many wonderful ideas. But this name, when I got that suggestion, it sort of hit me. Both because I love gelato, I love flowers, and when I saw the picture of that flower, I think that's spot on. So, and even, I think most people, when they see Stracciatella, they will think ice cream. And why not? It's sort of a, we have a name for this color in Norwegian. We call it gammelrosa. And translated directly into English, that's sort of old pink. Sort of old-fashioned pink, if you know what I mean. But, so, I have only 2 skeins of this on merino nylon, because it's a new colorway. But I can tell you right away, I'm going to knit myself a sweater in this color. And this, of course, will be, you can order this, you can order a sweater quantity of this, like you can with all of my colorways. If you see a colorway you really love and you want to have a sweater in it, a sweater quantity, contact me either on Instagram or on Etsy, and I'll see what I can do. Most of my colorways are repeatables and can be dyed up in sweater quantities. A few of them can't, but as I said, contact me and I'll see what I can do. So that's Stracciatella on merino nylon. This is a new colorway. Also a new colorway. It doesn't show up. I don't know what it is about this camera and greens and yellows. It struggles. Because this yellow is more yellow than this, if you know what I mean. When I tell you the colorway name, you'll understand how yellow it is, because the colorway name is Dandelion. And it's Dandelion yellow. And it has a few speckles in gold and orange. Just tiny bit. So that's Dandelion, and this is on BFL. No, that's not on BFL. You'll see in the shop update. I don't think this is, I think this is Polldale, but I'm not 100% sure. I dyed that last week, so that's why I can't remember. I dyed up 2 colorways on BFL. I dyed up Sea Spray on BFL and Skrik. And red are going the other way around because it's not this red. See if I hold it back here. That looks kinda better, but it's not this intense a red color. I'll try putting in a picture of what it actually looks like. So this is Skrik, named after the famous painting by Edvard Munch. It used to have black and blue speckles because of the picture has blacks and blues as well as the reds, but I decided to cut those out, both because it's easier to repeat this way and because those were the colors I wanted in the first place. The reason why I added the black and blue speckles was just because I showed this to my husband and he said it looked exactly like the sky in the Munch painting, and because he put that thought in my head that it had to look like the painting, I added the blacks and the blues. But this is what I was going for. So this is the new version of Skrik. And Sea Spray, if you remember last time I showed you Sea Spray on Corriedale, and this is what happens when you dye up. This is superwash, the Corriedale is non-superwash, and the colors blend together much more on a non-superwash. So the Sea Spray looks more blue and more muted on Corriedale than it does on BFL. And I've dyed up some Corriedale this time. I also dyed up some Corriedale, and it's my Dusk colorway that started as an accident and I really love it. So that's Dusk on Corriedale. I also dyed up some Midnight Sun, and this colorway stripes sort of, it spirals when you knit socks with it. So this is a dark blue with sunset colors in one place. So this spirals when you knit with it. So that's a Midnight Sun, and I dyed up some Neon Pop Rocks on grey Polldale. Neons on grey looks really good. So this is my grey Polldale base, and it's 85 merino, 15% black nylon, and that's how it becomes grey. And you can feel that it's 85% merino and not 75 because it's really soft. And I'm thinking of you. I've used this undyed in a shawl as grey. And I dyed up 2 different colors on my 100% merino, and I dyed up 4 skeins of each of these. This is my peony, not sure how you pronounce it. It's called peon in Norwegian, but peony in English, and it's a barely there peachy pink. So that's peony, and I have 4 skeins of this on 100% merino. And I dyed up some dirty jeans on 100% merino. The reason why I'm calling it dirty jeans is because you have this grey brown tinge in places, so I'm calling this dirty jeans. And I have 4 skeins of that on 100% merino going into the shop. Fröken Petrine knit herself a sweater of my natural boo merino bamboo blend in this colorway, and she held it with a skein of blue mohair, and it turned out beautifully. And I also have one of those happy accidents, because when I dyed up the dusk colorway, this one, I didn't like the color I got in the middle. It was far too light, so I threw some more blue in. Or this, it's not blue, it's a mix color that I blended myself, a certain ratio. And when I just dropped it in, and I realized, oh wow, that's too much. So I just hurried and pulled it up again. And then I of course had lots of dye left in the water. And I had 3 skeins of non-superwash merino in my stash. That's been there for a really long time, because it's the first non-superwash merino, or the first non-superwash yarn I had, and I stopped selling this ages ago. And I had 3 skeins left, and there was a lot of dye and a lot of acid in that water. So I decided, what's going to happen if I throw 3 dry skeins of non-superwash merino in that water? And this is what happened. Unfortunately, I think I can repeat this, because the yarn, the dusk, hardly touched the water before I took it out again. So I think I can recreate this, and I really want to recreate this. And if I'm able to recreate it, this is also going to end up as one of those competitions for names, because I already have stonewashed denim, I have dirty jeans, but this really looks like stonewashed denim, if you know what I mean. It looks like faded jeans. So too bad those other names are already taken. So I have to think of something, but this really looks... I had a pair of jeans that looked like this in the 80s. So I'm going to try to recreate this, because I really love this. And again, I think I would love to have a sweater in this color. Maybe with a blue mohair, but I'm not sure I like mohair. I'm going to test my dislike of mohair, because Sue bought me some hot pink mohair. It's on its way. Hopefully I'm going to get it one of these days, because I sent her second birthday box at approximately the same time as she sent me this, and she already got hers. So hopefully it's not it's only a matter of days before I get it. And it's hot pink. She saw this hot pink mohair on sale, and she thought of me immediately. So she bought it for me, and that means I'm going to knit a no frills, the way it's supposed to be knit. I knit a no frills. I think it's the first sweater I knit with yarn I dyed myself was a no frills, and because I was new at dyeing, I even think it's dyed with the Kool-Aid. It's uneven. I didn't alternate skeins. One of the sleeves have lots more speckles than the other sleeve, but that's actually something that happens with dyers that's been going a lot longer than me, and still happens, because that makes sense, because if you use the same yarn for a smaller circumference, it's going to speckle more densely, because there are shorter rounds. It's as easy as that. So the circumference has something to do with it. But I think I'm going to swatch with my grey Polldale and hot pink mohair. I think that's going to look really nice. Or normal undyed. I'm not sure I want to have I'm not going to have Ferret with pink, because that would be too much. I'm going to she also sent me, and I already got, I've shown you a skein of pink Surrey alpaca. But that I'm going to hold with my spectacular and knit a hat or a cowl with it. And that's something I'm going to hold on with to do, I think. But then again, a cowl or a hat, also good summer projects, because they're not big. So I might do that this summer. I'm thinking cowl, because alpaca, I know from experience that mohair is a bit itchy on me. But that's all mohair, not hell with anything else. Because I knit, when I was young in the 80s, everybody knit themselves really oversized sweaters with mohair. Preferably in pastels. And I knit that sweater in one evening. I seem to remember it was mohair and on 10mm needles, I think. And it was straight up and down. It was sort of a box with satin sleeves. So I did it in no time. I didn't use a pattern. I just winged it, because it was supposed to be oversized and sort of cropped, and with sleeves that were too long, so you had to roll them up. Don't ask me why. Everybody needed to have that sweater, but so and I know from that time that mohair next to skin is itchy on me, and that's why I'm thinking a no frills or something like that, because I'm going to wear a t-shirt underneath, because that's sort of a woolly sweater. It's kind of a warm sweater, so I'm going to use it in the winter anyway. But Suri alpaca, no problem. It's really soft, so that's why I'm thinking I can use it for a cowl or a one-skein shawl. Maybe if I can find a non-skein shawl, that would work with spectacular. But then again, if I hold it with pink Suri alpaca, that will mute the speckles a bit, so it might not look that busy. So again, with the tangents, I could have finished this by now if I didn't start talking about anything and everything. So now it's about 12:30 a.m. Sorry, 12:30 p.m. 12:30 a.m. That's middle of the night, isn't it? This AM, PM nonsense, we have a 24-hour clock in Norway, so now it's 12:27, and the other time in the middle of the night is 0:27. So that's how it works. So the AM, PM stuff, the only reason why I remember this is that I've taught myself the rule AM means after midnight. So that's how I remember that AM is before noon. So 12:27 p.m. because it's afternoon. All the things I have to learn just because I have friends in overseas that don't understand the 24-hour system. Or the metric system, for that matter. Canadians are a bit easier to talk to than Americans, because they sort of use the metric system for some things, but not for all things. So kind of confusing. And why am I talking about this? I think I should just turn off the camera and start editing this. Maybe go for a walk while I'm uploading. But then again, if I leave this while it's uploading and something happens, I'm going to kick myself when I get back. So I'm going to finish this, make myself some lunch, edit it, and then go for a walk. And to avoid talking any more rubbish, I'm going to end it here. I'm just going to go over my show notes. And I remembered to talk about everything. Arctic Summer of Socks. I've shown you the prices. And remember that you can enter with any pair of socks as long as they're not baby socks. shorty socks is okay. And somebody asked me if you could enter sock tubes if you only knit cuff, heel and toe on a sock snake. No. If you only do that, you have to enter 3 pairs. Take a picture of 3 pairs with cuffs, heels and toes that you hand knit afterwards. Otherwise it won't be fair for the other people, because I was thinking about how long it would take you to knit heels, toes and cuffs on sock snakes, and I think if you do 3 as 1 entry, so you can do it 3 as 1 entry. And another question I got, any weight of sock yarn. You can knit worsted socks and enter those, no problem. The only thing, toddler socks and sock snakes, 3 pairs equals 1 entry. And that's it. I'm going to leave you here, and I'll see you again in a little over 1 week this time. And have a really nice weekend, everybody, and I'll see you.